Hi, welcome to another episode of 2 Minutes on Tuesday. I'm Sam Miller of RE/MAX Stars Realty. And before we begin, I'm going to tell you one of the topics we're going to cover tonight is why we are not in a buyer's housing market. That's a question that I was recently asked, and I thought it was a great topic for 2 Minutes on Tuesday. But before we cover that topic, I want to tell you about the current market for Knox County real estate according to the Knox County MLS. There's 44 available homes for sale in Knox County and 63 houses that are under contract or pending or contingent where a buyer's in the process of buying. So combined, there's 107 properties either active for sale or already under contract. So that 44 is a number that last couple of weeks we've been in the 40s range. So it's a very good number. And the pendings still remain very strong. So that's the first thing. Now, the second part I wanted to answer is why we're not in a buyer's market. Because a lot of people are curious why that's not happened with some of the things that have changed in the economy, specifically relating to people, the number of people that are not currently employed. And there's, help wanted everywhere you look, you're seeing that. And so I can understand why this question came about, but the reality is when there are more buyers wanting to buy homes than there are sellers wanting to sell homes, the demand for homes is really high. And you've heard me say in a previous episode earlier this year that there was a point where we had 5 times as many buyers as we had available homes for sale. And that might have actually been a modest number. It might have been higher than 5-to-1 ratio of buyers compared to sellers. So that's one reason. Another reason is the interest rates are so low that the payments on purchasing a home are super competitive. And it's because of the affordability being so great. In so many cases, a buyer can buy a house cheaper than what they can afford to pay for rent. So meaning they may be a rental property that would be similar to the house they're buying might be $1,500 a month, and they can buy the house for $1,100 or $1,200 a month or even less. That low interest rate is driving affordability in ways that we've really never seen. So those are a couple reasons why. And then another reason why is in Knox County specifically, we've not had a lot of new construction. So there's not been a lot of brand new homes being built with the purpose of reselling that home. So a spec home or speculation or builder model home. So we just haven't seen that. And because we haven't seen that, there hasn't been that level of competition in the current housing market as far as new construction goes. So the bulk of what we've seen sell has been pre-existing or existing homes where the person who owns that home is selling and upgrading or whatever their reason to sell is. So we haven't had that extra new construction portion or segment of the market. And so it's strictly resell. And so that makes demand on existing homes even higher. Now, I'm sure one of the questions that may come out of this is, well, what does it take for it to become a buyer's market? And I can tell you just from my 35 years of experience, some dynamics that have to change are one of two and maybe a combination. One, the number of available competing homes on the market would have to go way up. We've been in a balanced market where there's 5-6 months worth of available inventory based on our current absorption rate. We'd have to go beyond that. Well, right now we're around a month for most price ranges available inventory. So the existing inventory would have to almost be times by 5 or 5 times as many homes for sale for us to get into a situation based on our current absorption rate where we would become a buyer's market more than we are currently, which we certainly are in a seller's market. So that's one dynamic that would change. Another would be a massive unemployment circumstance where people who would normally be buying a home that would not have a job and income that would allow them to be able to borrow money in order to obtain a mortgage to buy a home. So that would be another one. Another one would be if the interest rates rose dramatically, and so a buyer who could afford, just for example purposes, could afford a $200,000 house, let's say they now can only afford a $150,000 house. There are some buyers that would take them out of the market, that they would no longer be an interested buyer wanting to buy a home because the affordability of that home would be less affordable, and the buyer would no longer qualify for as expensive a house as they would with low interest rates. So those are three dynamics. There's tons of other examples of things that could drive the market from a seller's market. But remember, before we go from a seller's market to a buyer's market, we're going to go to a balanced market where the number of homes that are for sale and the number of buyers in the market buying become balanced, where we're still absorbing those new listings that come on the market, they're selling and closing. And that has to happen before the market flips. Because right now we're in a seller's market. If the market shifts, we would go to a balanced market. And then when the inventory would build up and where our absorption rate would be very extensive, then we become a buyer's market. And those of you that have been around a while will remember the buyer's market. The last one we were really in was when we went through the economic crisis, our whole country did, in the foreclosure market, where the housing market started to change in 2007, 2008. We were in that type of market where it was a buyer's market. So I'm Sam Miller, RE/MAX Stars Realty. Just thought I would answer this question because it's come up a couple times recently, and it's a good question. I mean, it's, why are we still in a seller's market? Why are we not in a buyer's market? And the answer to this is not a nationwide answer, because each market, each community has their own dynamics. Some markets, employment is unbelievable. And so in those markets, even if the interest rates jump, if the demand is still high enough, that market will still continue to rise, while maybe other parts of the country maybe are slowing down. So again, I'm Sam Miller, RE/MAX Stars Realty. Thanks for watching, and I'll come back to you again next week. Have a good one. Bye.